excuse the slightly wobbly camera, but I'm trying to get myself and the gear into it. So, hello and welcome to the first episode, the first live episode of... Right, where's the echo? Tony's Volca Tips Live. Okay. I should probably do that through the vocoder. I should probably turn the echo off as well. I should probably do that through the vocoder, but I haven't plugged it in yet because it's been a bit of a scramble to get everything set up. So, what we're going to talk about today is a surprise to me and everyone else because I haven't planned anything really. But what I'm going to show you is some of the ways that I put together music using the Volcas tracks, which you can load up with sounds, or you can bounce tracks down to those and then overdub onto them. But generally, I work just with the 8 live inputs. So that means that quite often I take things out and put things in. So I might have one of these lovely bass bots plugged in at some point. I might have all of the Volcas plugged in at some point, but I'm not going to pretend that it's all Volcas and just Volcas just for the sake of doing a Volca thing. So anyway, I'm going to show you some of the ways that I put a track together. Now, I've just started to make something here on the Volca keys, and as we go along, I'll give you a few tips, and I'm sure we'll all learn a few things. Now, I'm just going to check back to Facebook to see that it's still all working, because I'm still not convinced that these things actually happen. Yes, it's buffering a bit. Let me check on my phone. See what's going on from my phone side of things. Come here, Korg Volca series. Come back, I shall look at you while I'm doing this. It might be that we drop out every now and then. I don't know. I can't actually see the live stream on the group, but I am going to persevere for a minute. If I see the live stream, then I'll carry on. If not, I might start again, because otherwise I'm just talking to myself, which is fine. How it goes. So I have a pattern in the Volca keys which sounds like this. Okay, now I'm going to turn the overall sound up because I think that's a bit low. Turn my mic down a bit, turn this up, and play that again. Okay, so what we've got here is just a very simple pattern that's going D sharp, D, C. So that's all that's doing, and it's going to loop around in a normal 16-step pattern, and I can change the way that sounds. This is the Volca keys here we're talking about. I can change the way it sounds by changing all the knobs here. So if I change the decay and release knob, the sound will be longer. In control, that will turn up the volume of the sustained part of the note, the held part of the note, that part, So we can play that. But there's still no release to it. So it's going to, you've got this volume level, but there's no release yet. So if I put the release time up, then it will go, come over here, it will go up, along, and then release like this. Now that still sounds a bit boring, doesn't it? A bit rubbish. So what can we do to spice that up? We can, at the moment it's in poly mode. If you take it much beyond that, then it starts to go completely out of tune. But that might be an effect that you like and can be useful in some of the other modes as well. Okay, so we can bring that back, and then, so let's say we want it in, I actually quite like poly mode, but I'm going to show you unison mode with a bit of detune. And then we're going to use the peak and the cutoff knobs to give it some movement and a bit more, make the sound a bit more interesting, I think. So here we go. Now, if you don't want to, if you want that kind of effect of the filter going up and down, but you don't want to do it yourself, you don't want to be turning the knob yourself, what you can do is you can get the LFO to do that for you. The LFO stands for low frequency oscillator. Let me move this so you can actually see me. LFO stands for low frequency oscillator. So it's a wave, and you don't hear the LFO, but you can hear the effect of the LFO on other parameters. So the LFO can go like this slowly, or it can go really quickly. And what it does is it affects either the filter cutoff point, or it affects the LFO target. It affects the pitch or the cutoff. That's what it is. Okay. So if I play this again, and I will turn up the cutoff int knob, that means how much effect, the intensity of the effect of the LFO on the cutoff knob. So I'm going to put the LFO rate somewhere in the middle, and then I'm going to turn up the cutoff int knob. So right, so at the moment the filter is static, it's not going but if I turn up the cutoff int knob, the cutoff intensity, that will cause the LFO to, in effect, it's like turning the cutoff knob up and down. The LFO is doing that job for you if I start to turn the cutoff int knob up. And the more that I turn up the cutoff int knob, that's increasing the range of how much it's turning, in effect, turning the cutoff knob. So if I turn it all the way up, you'll hear that the filter will start to go like this. So now it's going like this. And if I turn it up even more, it will be as if you were turning the knob like really quickly like this. You can also use the LFO to change the pitch of the note. So I'm going to turn the cutoff int knob down just so we can hear the effect in isolation. And the pitch int knob is currently at 0, but the same theory applies. So the pitch of the notes that are playing is going to slide up and down caused by the LFO wave going up and down when we turn up the pitch int knob. So here we go. So you might like that, or you might not. The pitch int is quite useful for sound effects, really, especially if you use it with the cutoff as well. So let's see what we can do with that. Well, if you were to just play a single note, then you can make a kind of siren sound. Anyway, so there's the LFO. There's some things you could do with the LFO, but to come back to this little pattern we've got here, let's see how it sounds at the moment. So that doesn't sound very musical at the moment, so I'm going to turn the pitch int down. So I'm also going to turn the cutoff int down again, just so to remind us what we've got here. So we've got that basic pattern. Okay, so we've got that basic pattern. Now, the Volca keys sounds much better. To me, that sounds nicer already, okay? But what really makes the delay work nicely, I think, is if the sound changes as it goes through the delay. So instead of just having the same sound delayed, here's the sound, here it is again, here it is again, and then in a few seconds the same sound is being played again. It's okay, it fills things out, but it's a little bit boring. So what's nice is if here's a sound and it's delayed, and then the same notes are played, but the sound is changed. So you've got the delays of the first one going on there, and then you've got a different sound coming through with the same notes that overlaps. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So as you make a change, especially if most of the sound is going is fairly static, and then you make one big change, you'll hear the sound, then you'll hear this change, and it's kind of like it's thrown out there and it's bouncing around, even though you've just made one tweak. So you'll hear that effect. If I just play the loop, and then I will make one tweak, and then you'll hear that little tweak repeat. So do that again. I'm just tweaking the EG intensity knob, so it's how much the filter opens and closes with each note. So that was just one tweak, and you hear it go. So that's a favourite trick of mine. So what have we got so far? We've got this little pattern, but I'm just gonna tweak this a bit to make it a bit less resonant. Okay, so I'm happy with that sound. Now I'm going to play some chords over that, and I'm going to play them on the Volca FM. Well, it seems to be, is it working or is it not working? Who knows? Broadcast interrupted. Isn't it annoying when these things happen? Oh, well, look, there's me looking at my phone again, so maybe I'm back on. Anyway, I'm going to continue. You might have missed a few bits along the way, because I don't think my internet connection is very good. Anyway, so where we are at the moment is we're going to put some chords into the Volca FM, and I was saying I could play them straight into the Volca FM, especially if I can remember what the chords were. It's that, isn't it? It's right, so let's try this. Clear a pattern. I'm going to put it onto quarter tempo mode. Now, if I can do it live on the Volca FM keyboard, I will, over 8 steps. So here we go. It's in record mode now. I'm going to press play. It will continue to play, and then I'm going to record another chord. But I need to just check that. It's that, isn't it? Okay, so I've got those 2 chords. I'm going to save that pattern while I've got 2 good chords in there. What I've realised is save while the going is good. If you're going to add something to another pattern, then save while the going is good. Now, you can hear at the moment I've got some delay on this channel. I'm going to turn that off, and you can also hear that I've got another pattern. To reload the pattern, go back to that pattern, which is still there. So that's still there with the 2 good chords. Now, let me just so check that this is the final chord. Okay, I need to go up an octave. Okay, I'm going to try this one more time. If this doesn't work, then I'll show you with the MIDI keyboard. Okay, so that is sounding very nice. I'm going to turn off the metronome. I'm going to press function and memory to save the pattern, and I'm going to press memory location 1, key number 1, to save it into pattern number 1. So now I'm just going to check my phone again, and the tempo of the Volcas and anything else that I've got. This is quite useful because it allows me just to press one start button and everything starts. But I could just sync the Volcas and I can start them manually. But for now, I'm going to take out the Roland TR-8 from the mixer, and then press start, and it should start these, but I've muted the channels, the audio channels from this, so you can just hear this. That's the idea anyway. Let's see what happens when I press start. Okay, right, so I didn't quite mute the correct channel. Let me try that again. Yeah, okay, so here we go. So this is the Volca keys and the Volca FM. The Volca FM is playing the chords. The keys is just playing this little pattern. Okay, and I'm going to put the delay effect back onto the Volca FM. What I find is I'm not using any reverb at the moment, and I find much as I like the chord on the Volca FM, I'm going to turn the volume of the Volca FM channel down slightly, because I find with chords, you don't really need them to be that high up in the mix for them to have the desired effect. So next, what we need is, I think what we need next is a bass line. But in order to hear, in order to work out the bass line properly, I would first put in a bass drum. Now, of course, you don't need to have a bass drum. You could just make something nice and ambient and beatless, which is very nice. But I am going to put in a bass drum. I'm going to put the bass drum in, and I've got a Volca kick here. Now, I could put in a bass line, a bass drum from the Volca kick. I'll show you how, but actually what I'm going to do long term, I think, is to use the Roland TR-8 for the bass drum and show you how to do a bass line with the Volca kick, which can do a lovely analog style bass line. So I'm going to turn on the kick channel from let me know if this is working, please. Okay, I think what's happening is I've just got a very dodgy internet connection today for some reason, which is really annoying. But anyway, let's see. Even if it doesn't work, I should be able to save the live stream and put it up onto YouTube anyway, or something like that. Who knows? Right, so where were we? So we've got the keys and the FM. The keys is playing this. The FM is playing this. The Roland TR-8 is starting and stopping everything, and it's at this point is supplying a bass drum. So I've got a Volca kick here. Right, okay, so I've got the Volca kick in here, so hopefully you can see that a bit better now. Right, here's a Volca kick. Let's turn it up. Now the Volca kick can do nice bass drums, but it can also do nice bass lines. I'm going to clear this pattern and I'm going to connect it to the MicroKorg here. So a bass line that goes something like so what I can do is here's a cheap quick trick to use. One of my favourite ones is to turn on the arpeggiator, which is one part of a bass line. It's this part, and then I'm going to record this bit and then this bit. Something like that. But only this bit will fit into 16 steps. So I've recorded that bit, sound settings, but no notes. I can now record the C note in the same way. save that into memory. Keep messing this up. Tell you what I'm going to do, right? What I'm going to do is load the one from number 3 and save it into number 4, just to spare you me messing around with that bass line for too long. So now I'm going to use the pattern chain feature, which you get in the Volca Kick and the Volca FM. The Volca FM chords are going in quarter time in one pattern, so I'm not actually using the pattern chain on the Volca FM, but I am going to use the pattern chain on the Volca Kick. So I'm going to press, I can't really show you this, I don't think, in a way that you can see, because it's a bit distant. Anyway, I'm going to explain. I'm going to hold the memory button, and I'm going to then I'm going to hold the memory button, then I'm going to press button key number 1 and key number 4, and that will select every pattern between 1 and 4. And then when I press play, it will play those in sequence. So now it will play those 4 parts of the bass line as one loop, as one pattern chain, or one chain of patterns. Kenton through 5, and it's sending it out to the 3 Volcas at the same time. It's sending the tempo info and the start and stop messages. So let's see how it sounds now. I'm just adjusting the volume of the Volca Kick on the mixer to try and get it balanced up about right. Now, I think, even though it's quite nice to have that little variation, kind of repeating melody loop, and the chords, here we go, and we've got a bass drum coming from the TR-8. Okay, so what's next? I'm just looking at the time, that's why I'm looking up there. Looks funny when you don't look exactly at the camera, doesn't it? I think we've had quite a lot of tips so far, haven't we, for this to count as a live episode of Find the Right Knob on the mixer. I think this should count as a live episode of Tony's Volca Tips. There's one thing I forgot to do. I forgot to do the plug, the buy my things bit. Where's the... so, here's the plug for the Buy My Things bit. So, this is me trying to line this up. Korg Volca Expert Guides, which are done by me. They're available for iPad, iPhone and Mac. Currently, it's not really feasible for me to publish them on Android or PC in the format that they are in, a secure format, which has all the things that they do and is financially viable. But maybe that will change soon. So we've got Korg Volca Beats, we've got Korg Volca FM, Volca Kick, Volca Keys and Volca Bass. And they're interactive, and they've got lots of sound demos, and they tell you all about things. So here's, for example, the Volca Keys guide. If you press this, you get that, or you can... In all these demos, you get explanations of how the sounds are made, so you can do it. And there are quick start guides to all the basics, all kinds of things. Anyway, you too will be a Volca expert. That's the idea. You don't have to be an expert to buy it. Anyone can buy it, but you will be an expert once you've bought it and read it. Okay. And coming soon is Korg Volca Sample, the expert guide, which I shall be finishing as soon as I can. Okay, thank you very much. You can follow me on Twitter. You might hear some of this on a forthcoming episode of the Korg MicroKast Podcast. You might not. It depends if there's something I can clip out of it that will work. Probably not, actually. But you will hear me on the Korg MicroKast Podcast, and you'll hear me talking about Volcas and Volca tips, and say, Tony's Volca tips and things like that. So look out for that. You can find me on YouTube, and you'll see me on the Korg Volca Facebook group, and you can search Volca Expert for all sorts of things that I do. Okay, well, thank you very much. I hope this has worked. Bye bye. Now, this is the funny bit at the end where I have to turn it off.